Tuesday and Thursday, we check in with Tony Messenger, St. Louis Post-Dispatch columnist. And Tony Messenger, there are very few bombshells in this day and age. This one can be described as an utter bombshell. Tony, this morning we're getting some criticism from some listeners on the text line that this is a consensual relationship between two adults and this is a private matter and should be left alone. I think when you have the allegation of the blackmail or the revenge porn picture aspect of it, that puts it into a whole new light.
I think that's what changes it, and ultimately, I wasn't involved in the discussions in the newsroom about, not to publish, to publish, etc. My gut is that the Post-Dispatch made the right decision in not publishing initially, in part because we haven't heard from the woman who had the affair, and it's her story to tell as much as anybody else's, and so that part of it gives me a certain uncomfortable feeling, and I'm sure that was part of the discussions in various newsrooms that were pursuing the story. But it's that allegation, which the governor denies, of the potential blackmail. Took a photo of her naked while she's tied to an equipment machine, exercise machine, allegedly, and told her allegedly, never say my name or this photo will get out. That part of the story changes it, because that's blackmail. That's potentially a crime. That is pretty despicable behavior, and it's behavior from a governor that has built his entire persona around this personal narrative. That's what makes this story with this governor so interesting and compelling to see how he goes forward. This is a governor who has no relationship with the media, who has very little relationship with even the members of his own party in the Republican caucus in Jefferson City, because he's constantly attacking them. Everything that he has done is built around building up this persona to be somebody who can someday be president of the United States. This story sure pokes a hole in that a little bit and takes some air out of that. And what will be interesting to see is, does he respond by somebody who shows a little bit of humility and actually starts to govern and actually starts to build relationships and just sort of do the job of Missouri governor rather than trying to run for president all the time? Or is it, the same old Eric Greitens that says one thing and does something else in terms of some of his actions?
The story broke last night. KMOV gets credit for getting the husband on record and releasing the audio of the tape, which I think the audio for some reason makes it a different story when you hear the audio.
It does. It's her voice, and again, I haven't had all of these sort of ethical conversations in my head because I wasn't in the room making these decisions. But that also gives me some pause. You're talking about a tape that was made surreptitiously of the woman who was having the affair, and now she's being victimized again. That's another part of this story that makes me uncomfortable. That I hope journalists continue to be cautious around that part of the story.
Where the silence is deafening. Story broke last night, though rumors were like last couple of weeks. The story breaks last night, but the silence from the Democrats, but Republicans, nobody's saying anything. Where's the lieutenant governor? Where's Josh Hawley? Where are people in the legislature? The silence is deafening, Tony Messenger.
Well, it's a politically difficult place. So how do you respond? There are I've seen some folks on Twitter saying he should resign. I have seen State Senator Rob Schaaf, a consistent critic of the governor, tweeted, "Put a fork in him." So there's been a little bit of reaction to that, but this is, first of all, it's not something he did while he was governor, and secondly, it creates a difficult place, I think, politically, both for his opponents who don't want to be seen taking advantage of a personal situation. But I don't think anybody wishes ill will upon the man's marriage or the woman in her life or her ex-husband. And, you want these people to all be able to get on with their personal lives. And so where is the place for a politician to criticize? I think they're all just sort of sitting back and looking at it and realizing this clearly damages the governor. It clearly takes out any momentum that he thought he had. It clearly pricks a bubble in his national aspirations. But what does it do to the day-to-day job of governing, which is just starting in Missouri in the new legislative session? I think that's going to take a while to play out. It's going to play out in the same way it was already playing out, with there being some controversy between the Senate and the governor over his appointments to the Board of Education and other boards. It's going to play out in terms of the few allies that the governor might have in the Senate. Do they walk away from him now? It's going to be interesting to see, but I don't expect a whole lot of public statements from politicians because we've all been through this before. Lots of people in politics have affairs. Lots of people in politics have things in their, skeletons in their closet.
That's
and
true.
They're a little bit afraid. They're a little bit afraid to criticize somebody else for being in that situation.
That's true, but there's also an element of Harvey Weinstein in this, and Matt Lauer in this, and everyone else, because it was consensual. But she's alleging there was a non-consensual part of this, which was the picture. And,
right.
And
at least we think she's alleging that.
Right.
We have a surreptitious tape of her made at one point with her alleging that in a conversation with her husband.
Right.
To the best of my knowledge, I don't know this. We don't have her on the record anywhere. I don't know what her opinion is of the alleged blackmail today.
The ex-husband says it.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, I think that's where we have to be careful is clearly this is an allegation of blackmail that is serious and should be taken as such. But to the best of my knowledge, we haven't heard her side of the story in terms of what she really believes at this point. And so I just think, it's important to be careful there. But clearly that element of the story takes it to a different level, and it's clear that the governor recognizes that, because both the governor and his attorney, James Bennett, are disputing that there was any blackmail involved.
So let me ask you about the hiring of Jim Bennett, who was arguably one of the most high-profile, high-powered attorneys you can go to. Was he hired because of the blackmail allegation? Was he hired because of the app investigation from Josh Hawley? Why do you hire the most prominent lawyer in town in this situation?
So I don't know. I mean, they may have a previous relationship. I do not know. There could be a variety of reasons of why one chooses an attorney. But James Bennett is a nationally renowned trial attorney. And so he's not the guy that you hire to help clean up a bad publicity situation. He's the guy you hire because of a potential trial situation. So I would expect to see him, if he hasn't already, enter an appearance on the lawsuit over the Confide app, the app that is on the governor's phone and some of his staffers' phones, or has been, that allows them to erase texts. I would expect that he's going to be involved in some capacity there, and they developed a relationship, and now he's representing the governor in a variety of different ways, perhaps. But I don't know. That's purely speculation. I haven't talked to Mr. Bennett about it, but his reputation is as a very strong trial attorney, and so my guess is that that's where the the relationship came.
Also, on a side note, we'll end with this, that Jay Nixon is also a lawyer in Dowd Bennett. So in a sense, Jay Nixon
ironic. I mean,
is Eric Greitens' lawyer.
The connections here. Nixon is, Jack Danforth is in that law firm.
Right.
The Bennett law firm is involved in the NFL lawsuit right now. I mean, there's a whole lot of interesting connections there that are neither here nor there probably. But it is interesting that the former governor works in the law firm of the attorney who's now representing the current governor, and they're Jay Nixon and Eric Greitens clearly not close, not friendly,
right.
But that's the way it is. So, going to be an interesting story. I think it's going to cast a pall over the legislative session, and we'll see where it goes.
Tony Mester, St. Louis Post-Dispatch columnist, Tuesdays and Thursdays with us, stltoday.com. Tony, thanks.